doing,
And
right?
I've got a question for you, Tim. We've got mostly a room full of beginner, hobbyist, beginner to intermediate hobbyist indie game developers, people who are aspiring to get there, and they're working on a game, in the background, and they're thinking, well, it'd be cool one day if my game got published and made some money. That would be neat. So, for folks who are in that early stage of the journey, they haven't been working necessarily on their game for 4 years and have it look amazing and polished and kind of ready to go. What words of wisdom would you give to those folks to guide them with whatever they're working on at the moment, so it gets to the point where they can have a conversation with someone like yourself from Hooded Horse and say, oh, here we go, let's do a publishing deal. What sort of things would you say to the folks, earlier in their journey, that makes it useful from a publisher perspective?
In terms of getting publishers to be interested in the game, so I can talk about my impressions of what gets other publishers interested, which is somewhat different than what gets me interested. So
Okay.
First, I'll do it very quick, but me is less important for most people. For one thing, we are, we have Hooded Horse has a particular scope, which I actually think is important for a publisher. We publish strategy, simulation, and role-playing games. Now that includes a lot of things. Roguelikes are often quite strategic. Sons of Valhalla playing right there. This is a game that we love and fits our portfolio. You build little bases, you fight, you gather your men and stuff. But basically, we are strategy simulation and RPGs, which means that we don't do first-person shooters. Or if we did a platformer, I guess you could, in some sense, call Sons of Valhalla. It's a 2D side scroller, but it's got those elements, those strategic and RPG elements. So we're actually somewhat limited. So I imagine most of your audience is probably not making the sort of game that we publish. Not that there is, I'm sure there are some who are, but just, it's the reality of anybody who's got a limited scope is most people aren't that. So what I do is probably less important to people, but I will quickly say, just for reference, so with us, the most important thing is that the game is doing something that some amount of players can fall in love with. And that's true of every game in our portfolio. Like we don't look and say, okay, is this game a proven success because it resembles another game? Which is what I'll get into the other publishers in a second. But basically, our approach is that we're focused on, is it doing something in such a way that there's something there for some group of people to absolutely love?
And is that subjective? That's you saying, this looks pretty cool, or is that based upon, there's a demo out there and people are raving about it? What's just how subjective versus quantifiable is it?
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's not that I don't look at numbers if they're out there, but we also sign games that are fundamentally new to players and haven't shown that yet. If you look at our PAX East announcements, you've got one that was actually doing quite well, Sons of Valhalla, which was doing pretty well on Steam without us, but we also fell in love with it. But you've also got two new games we announced, Espiocracy and Capital Command, that were basically those they were very relatively unknown on Steam. So these are games that had a couple thousand wish lists, frankly, we with these games, in the last couple of days, each of them has gotten like several thousand additional wish lists because of PAX East and all of the announcement stuff. So